This is training module number 3, specifically wedding protocol. We're going to start wedding protocol out with kind of your introduction to the event, or your introduction that you would typically do before the bride and groom arrive. This is the kind of that early evening kind of cocktail hour. It gives you a chance to kind of make a connection with the guests, gets them to know you, and it also kind of orients the guests to kind of the rest of the evening. Typically during that first introduction, or that first kind of welcoming, you'd like to welcome everyone to the wedding reception of John and Sally. At that point, you might want to point out to people, if it's not obvious, where the restrooms are. You might want to point out to them where the gift table is. If the bar is open, you might want to point out to them that they can go ahead and help themselves to a drink. Maybe at that point, hors d'oeuvres are out. You can point to them, where the hors d'oeuvres are. You'd also want to introduce yourself, your company name. Some other things that you may want to do is let them know that you've brought out over 80 years worth of music and you're open to music requests. So if anybody has a music request, they can write it down and bring it up to you at the DJ stand. You'd be happy to kind of try to play it for them. All those things are important, and people like to hear that just kind of hear the voice of the DJ, and they also like to hear that the DJ is willing to play requests. So by telling them right out from the beginning of the evening, as soon as you can kind of conclude that welcoming, kind of let them know what to expect next. And do that throughout the evening. Keep people informed as to what's going on. Letting them know, once those, we do those introductions, we're going to go into the toast. As dinner's going on, let people know that as soon as dinner's over, we're going to be doing some formal dances. Communicate with your guests throughout the evening. That way they don't find a reason, well, nothing seems to be going on right now, I'm going to take off. If you let them know throughout the evening what's coming next, they're going to wait and see what comes next. That way you'll keep your crowd, you'll have a much better time with your event as well. A couple of things, when your wedding party does arrive, you're going to want to meet them out in the hallway, and usually somebody will come in. Mom's got a phone call, or maybe one of the bridesmaids ran into the hall to let you know that they've arrived. As soon as they arrive, grab your list that has all their names. Also a good idea to grab a pen, run out to the hallway, and meet your wedding party out there. A couple of things you want to do once you meet them out there. Line them up the way that they will be actually introduced. So if they're coming in as pairs, which is typically the way, first bride, or no, take that back, first bridesmaid, first groomsman, second, third, fourth, fifth, and line them all up. Obviously with your maid of honor and best man at the end of the line, and then at the very, very end is going to be your bride and your groom. So go ahead and line everyone up right at the doorway of where they'll be entering. If you can keep it closed, that's cool. If you can't, have them just stand back just far enough so that not too many people see them. If a few people see them, stand in the doorway there, that's fine. But go ahead and line everybody up as close to that doorway as possible. Once you get everybody lined up, you want to go over a couple of specifics with the entire wedding party. Number one, let them know that they are to wait to go through that doorway until they hear their names. Tell them that again, you need to wait to walk out and make your way into the room. They know that they can dance on the way in, make it look fun. There's going to be people videotaping, watching, laughing, taking pictures. So let them know they can dance, tell the bridesmaids they can put those bouquets up in the air. Tell the groomsmen if they want to spin the bridesmaids in a little twist on their way in, that they should do that. Tell them that there's going to be fun dance music being played in the background as they enter, so they'll have something to dance to. Tell them to have a good time with it. Tell them to smile. Again, there's going to be lots of pictures going on, so tell them to have a good time. Make sure they wait for their name. Number 2, make sure they dance on their way in. And number 3, and probably most importantly, tell them where to go. A good DJ will tell them exactly where they need to go. What I find works best one of two ways. Either have the entire wedding party make their way directly to their seats. You know, if it's a head table, that's fine. If they're just seated, you know, throughout the place, that's fine. Tell them, you know, if they are gonna, you know, go to the head table, tell them where the head table is in the room. Give them specifics. Say, you know, when you walk into the room, the head table will be on the left, on the far wall. Or the head table is going to be on the back wall. You'll see it all the way in the back, cross the dance floor, keep on walking, you'll see the head table back there. Make sure you tell them where to go. Most of them have not been in the room yet. And if they have, they don't remember where the head table is. You don't want them to walk part way in and get caught off guard and not know where to go. Because then you're going to have to tell them where to go and it's going to look really goofy. So tell them where to go. A couple of other things, you know, to kind of keep in mind when it comes to that grand entrance is if they are going to go directly to their seats, it might be a better idea to. One other thing to kind of keep in mind, just a kind of small little detail, if the bride and groom are doing their cake cutting right after that grand entrance or quote unquote before dinner, then you might want to have the entire wedding party walk straight to the head table and sit down. That's cool. But have the bride and groom walk straight to the cake. That way you can go right into that cake cutting and then have the bride and groom sit down to kind of move into the toast for the evening. So if you do know that you're doing the cake cutting before dinner, one nice little way to do that is have them go straight to the cake. Again, making sure the bride and groom know exactly doing that grand entrance. Before doing the grand entrance, I think it's always a good idea to ask the crowd to put their hands together. Let's hear it for the wedding party, even before you bring them in. Have them put their hands together, say, you know, they can't hear you out there in the hallway. Let's hear it for that wedding party and our bride and groom. Try to get the crowd a little bit warmed up before you bring them in. A couple of other things to kind of keep in mind is typically you would want that background music or that grand entrance music down to 0 until after you've made that first announcement. As soon as you announce the first couple from the wedding party, then go ahead, bring that music up as they're walking in, play the music, play the music, play the music. As soon as they've made their way just about to the seats, go ahead and fade that music down and make your next introduction. That usually goes over the best, and kind of using that technique. Another thing to keep in mind, if you are going to be introducing the parents, typically we would just introduce the parents right in the room. I would say something to the effect of, okay, ladies and gentlemen, before we bring our wedding party in along with our bride and our groom this evening, we would just like to acknowledge the parents. We would like for the groom's parents to stand up. Mr. and Mrs. Smith, let's hear it for them. There they are, right over on the other side of the hall. Please stand up, clap, clap, clap. Cool. Introduce the bride's parents. Most of the time, when it comes to wedding receptions, people don't do them as often as we do. So they don't know when they're supposed to clap. They don't know, you know, if it's appropriate. You need to direct the guests as to what they should be doing, what they should be expecting, that kind of thing. So after every one of those introductions, make sure you request applause. And then once everyone's come in, you got the entire wedding party, everybody's all together, bride and groom's out there. Again, request applause one more time. Go ahead and let everybody sit down, and typically, you know, at that point we'd kind of move into our toasts and whatnot. Speaking of toasts, one thing that I found that a lot of DJs don't look into before moving into the toast are two very, very important things. Probably the most important things. Does the wedding party, along with the guests, all have a drink? If there's champagne, you know, bottles or champagne glasses on the tables, probably means they're going to be serving champagne for the toast. You might want to check to make sure that the hall staff has poured that champagne, or that champagne is out on the table and the corks have been opened. Make sure that before you start the toast, the champagne or whatever drink is kind of set and ready to go. That's number one. So before you start the toast, make sure the champagne is ready to go. If there is no champagne, just make sure your wedding party at least has something to drink. You might need to, if they've just sat down from that grand entrance, you might need to give them 10-15 minutes to go to the bar and get something to drink, so they have something to drink during that toast. Number two, I find it to be a very good idea to make sure that before you do the toast for the evening, that the dinner service is set and ready to go. It's very awkward to get done with those toasts, be ready to move into dinner, because that's typically what we do. We would do our toast, we would do our blessing, and then we'd move into dinner. It would be very awkward to get everybody seated, do the toast, do the blessing, and the hall staff has another 30 minutes of food preparation. Who's going to look bad, the hall staff or the DJ? Probably the DJ. So again, before you do the toast, verify two things. Verify everybody's got something to drink, and number two, make sure that the hall staff has that meal service set and ready to go.